Mazda introduced the BT50 midsize pickup at the Bangkok Motor Show in 2006 as a successor for the Mazda B series. Sharing most of its components with the Ford Ranger, the BT50 distinguished itself through redesigned headlights, stoplights, bumpers, grille, and even wheel arches, while the interior was completely different. Mechanically, they are the same, sharing the same engines and suspension. The second generation Mazda BT50 was revealed at the 2010 Australian International Motor Show. This second generation BT50 was designed by a Mazda team based at Ford Australia's Design Centre in Melbourne. The new model shared most of its mechanical and structural parts with the Ford Ranger. Stylistically, the two only shared the roof, the windshield, and the rear window. The 2011 BT50 came with a more rounded front end with headlights that stretch onto the front fenders. Power was provided by two diesel engines and a petrol unit, with a choice of either 5-speed manuals or 5-speed automatic gearboxes. 4 years after the introduction of the second generation Mazda BT50, it received a facelift for 2015. The new styling features included a newly designed front face, rear combination lamps, and aluminium wheels. The interior was also refreshed to offer a higher quality feel, and a rear camera was hooked up to the infotainment system.
This BT50 is actually based on the Ford Ranger T6 platform, renowned for its capability, durability, and toughness. Now all that DNA now infused with Mazda's design language gives you an amazing product. So let's start with the center console. As you can see, this particular version actually has a monochrome display right on top, so it gives you vital information about the radio and of course different other things, including heads-up display, which is not standard on this one but on the higher spec. Going right below it, you do have actually a set. This design also feels a little bit cluttered, but that's a Mazda design. If you have driven the previous Mazda 6, you probably see this design on this. There's still symmetry in it, and actually it controls the radio, CD, Bluetooth connectivity, and of course flash functionality or USB port, and a CD player that comes as standard. Right below it, you have dual zone climate control, which comes as standard, so the passenger and the driver can actually have different settings and they can enjoy the cool cabin of the BT50. Right below it, you do have a set of buttons. So you have hill descent control, which comes as standard, and of course stability control to ensure that you remain safe from harm's way. Right below it, you do have some space here for your cell phone. You can actually put your cell phone here. And the beginning of the gearbox console, it's a pretty basic design. This is a gated shift gearbox automatic, and of course has Tiptronic functionality. And then over here you do have the shift on the fly buttons, which allows you to toggle between 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low, so you become the off-road expert that you so desire. The center console over here, you do have some space. You can keep your valuables and of course your cell phone. And moving over to the instrument pinnacle, here is where you see the magic. So the italics are different. It's not the bold design from Ford. This is more of a Mazda implementation. So right hand side tachometer, left hand side speedometer. On top, in the middle, you do have the fuel and temperature gauges, and I believe you have an orange hue, a monochrome display that gives you also the different aspects of the car. If the doors are open, fuel range, and so much in driving style, you're able to see that. And Mr. Mirigizan gave us a lowdown about that. The steering console, it's good, feels good on the hands. It's leather wrapped, of course. Of course, on the left hand side, you do have settings for the audio system and of course voice control. On the right hand side, cruise control, which comes as standard in this BT50. As you can see, big boy is very comfortable. The seats are supportive, good lumbar support. And of course, as you can see, I'm a tall person and big, so I'm able to fit comfortably in the BT50 without feeling squeezed, as is the case with other pickups. And of course, you can adjust the steering tilt, but there's no telescopic, but I mean, it's more than adequate. If I can fit, then anybody can fit. Obviously, the seats are very perforated. They're black in color. You can actually choose different types of colors to suit your taste and preferences, because it's trying to play best of both worlds. Being executive can still do, the off-roading stuff. Now, it's time to hand over the reins to Mr. Murigi, so he can give us a lowdown about this particular system, voice control, and of course, the back seat practicality, load bay area, and of course, we're going to go off-road. Feel this car off-road, and of course, give you the value for money proposition of the BT50. Is it better than the Toyota Hilux or the Nissan Navara? Stay tuned.
When it comes to technology, the Mazda BT50 makes sure that you have everything in control. Most of the technology in this car is focused on making sure that you are able to get stuff done. It's all about productivity when it comes to this car. So all it is just to allow you to focus on the driving experience, getting what you need to get done. So you have things like an auto dimming mirror, automatic wipers, and electronic controls for both switching from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, to also the hill descent control and traction control, switching it on and off. When it comes to infotainment, we have an amazing system over here which connects to your phone through Bluetooth, allowing you to make and receive calls on the move. You control that, of course, now with buttons on the steering wheel, which include, of course, volume buttons for the music system and a voice control button in the middle here. In addition to this, we also have cruise control in this vehicle as standard. That allows you to, on a very long trip, just set the speed that you need to be at and avoid problems with the Kenya police when it comes to speeding. In terms of power, you have two 12-volt sockets in the front here, one in the front, one in the center console, and then in the glove box, we actually have a USB and an auxiliary in for the music system. But let's check out the second row to see how much space there is for the passengers sitting in the back. Coming round to the back of the Mazda BT50, and you can see there is quite a lot of space for me at the back here. This seat is set to Trevor's driving position. He is 6'1", I am 5'9", and there is enough space for my knees and my feet under the seat over here. I can very confidently say that two adults should be able to sit at the back here very comfortably. In terms of storage solutions, there are storage bins in each of the outboard doors here that are big enough to hold a 1-liter bottle, and you actually do have cup holders in the center armrest to make sure that you keep your drink stable while you're on the move. There's a 12-volt socket at the back here to make sure that you're able to charge your devices on the move, and there is one rear seat storage area on the passenger side just to make sure you don't interrupt with the driver when you're on the move. In terms of safety, you have side curtain airbags that extend all the way to the back seat over here, and you have a 3-point safety belt for the person sitting in the center over here. But first things first, let's check out the back to see just how much cargo capacity the Mazda BT50 has to offer. Coming down to the business end of this pickup, and we can see the very easy thing to open, and it opens to reveal a large and wide area with a capacity of 1 ton. That's big enough to put a Demio at the back here if you're keeping it Mazda. This is actually very nice because it actually has leaf springs, unlike some of the competition, and that allows you to carry quite a lot. But right now, it's time for Trevor to take this on the road and let us know what this feels as a driving experience.
So after that brief analysis about the cabin and what the BT50 can do for you, it's time to see if it's got that raw power that we so deserve, especially when you're driving a pickup. We need that power, that oomph. So we're going to start right away with the engine choices. So basically, this particular BT50 is a clone of the Ford Ranger, or a sister to the Ford Ranger, so they share different engines. But this particular one actually has a 2.2 high power with high power turbo Puma engine diesel that produces 160 horsepower or 118 kilowatts and 385 newton meters of torque. So we've just joined the highway, and I can tell you the 2.2 liter is very responsive. I'm going to shift it to sport mode now, and then flick a gear or two because I'm on 6. Oh yeah, the Puma engine is quite responsive, and I can tell you from low down at 1700 RPM, you're able to get maximum torque of 385 Newton meters. And it's sent to the 4 wheels courtesy of this 6-speed automatic. Now it allows you to explore the full potential of this particular pickup, the BT50, and still give you very good fuel consumption. 5.6 per 100 kilometers is not bad for a pickup on an average cycle. And remember, these figures are actually laboratory tests. And of course, you're able to find out if you drive differently, of course, the figure will go lower or higher depending on how your heavy foot is. Now, speaking of that, in as far as the driver is concerned, front double leash bonds at the back, you do have long tapered leaf springs for added comfort on road, and of course, added articulation when you go off-road. And Mr. Murigo is going to give you a lowdown about that. And of course, combined with this shift on the fly 4x4 system, I can tell you the BT50 is as capable as any other pickup, in fact even better. close to the Ford Ranger, of course, because they share the same system. And Mr. Murigo is going to give a lowdown on how this particular car is. Hill descent controller standard, and of course stability control. But in case you need to find out about safety, what are the safety elements of this particular car? So Mazda, having worked in conjunction with the Ford Ranger, I can tell you the T6 platform actually has a 5-star safety rating, one of the safest pickups in the business. So you do have, from an active safety perspective, you do have anti-lock braking system, brake assist, and of course you do have stability control that comes as standard. And of course inside, if all hell breaks loose, you can rely on the 6 airbags that are standard in the BT50, keeping you and your family safe from harm's way. That is so important, because right now everybody's looking for that, mix. Safety, performance, comfort, efficiency, and of course durability. But now it's time to go off-road. Mr. Murigo, who's a resident 4x4 expert, is going to hand over the reins to this particular car, and we're going to see how capable is it off-road. Can it do the rough stuff? Can you go bundu bashing? Because that's all the pickups, that's the builds of the pickup. So let's join him, and he's going to give us a lowdown and then complete it with value for money.
So we are here, we're about to hit the off-road track with this Mazda BT50. The car we have right now today is the 2.2 liter with a 6-speed automatic. The first thing I'm going to do is switch it from 2 high to 4 high. It actually also has 4 low, and it has hill descent control. This particular unit doesn't have a rear locking diff, but let's just see what exactly it can do. So we're here on a very rocky area. I've set it to 4 high. All 4 wheels are being driven at the moment. Now this car has 237 millimeters of ground clearance, and it has some really good tires, so I am very confident, although this is not the 3.2, that this should be able to handle this really well. The gearbox is spectacular. It's modulating my throttle inputs to make sure that I'm not jerking when I'm on this surface. Like now we are about to go up. Likely touching the throttle is just giving me enough power to climb up this hill. So we're just about to turn onto a bit of a stretch. The 4-wheel drive system on this car is actually shiftable on the fly, so you can move from 2 high to 4 high at speeds of up to 120 kilometers an hour. Now we are about to turn onto a bit of a hill, and this is where I'm going to switch and discuss a few things about off-roading, specifically the departure angle on this, the breakover angle, and the approach angle. So let's switch to that right now. So usually on this show, when we're talking about a car's off-road capability, there are some numbers that we mention, and today I want to explain to you exactly what those numbers mean. So just when you're about to take a hill like this car is about to, you have to think about the approach angle. So that's the first number that we're going to talk about. When you get to the middle, there's the breakover angle. And then when you get to the bottom, there's the departure angle. So first things first, let's talk about the approach angle. That's the angle between the tire and the frontmost part of the car. So when you're about to hit a hill, it is the steepest angle that the car can take without the front of the car touching and getting damaged. On the Mazda BT50, that angle is 28 degrees. Secondly, we come to the breakover angle. Now, when the car has gone up the hill, it has to be able to go over and onto the other side, which means it has to hit the peak. Now, the angle of that peak is known as the breakover angle, and it is the angle that the car can handle with the front and the rear on either side without the body touching. On this car, the breakover angle is 25 degrees. Now, once you've gotten over the top of the hill, you have to get down without the back of the car touching the hill itself. Now what you do over here is think about the departure angle. So the departure angle is the angle between the wheel and the top of the bumper here. And on this car, it's 26 degrees. So what this means is that this is a car that is very capable off the road, can go up and over stuff. Let's get back into the car and continue the review. And so that's it, guys. We've gone over the hill in the Mazda BT50 and I've explained what the approach, breakover and departure angles are. This car also, in terms of off-road technology, has the ability to switch off the traction control, which comes in handy, especially when you're in mud and other surfaces. And it comes standard with hill descent control. All these features, it's time to put this to the test against the competition in the market. Let's go for value for money.
So guys, you've experienced the Mazda BT50 in all its glory, and I can tell you for a fact, it's absolute value for money. Good styling, capable 4x4 hardware, and of course, very efficient engines. But Mr. Mirigi, what are your thoughts on this particular Mazda BT50?
I'm liking it so far. This is based, of course, on the Ford Ranger platform, the
Yes.
T6. So I was coming, of course, now with a lot of expectations, and all of them have been met. This is a very capable car. This has the 2.2, not the 3.2 liter 5-cylinder. So I was expecting that the power was not going to be at par, but the power is actually really good, which means that it's very efficient. It will save you money in the long term.
Now, who are the key rivals in this particular category?
This category, obviously, we're talking about double cab pickups, which have become a staple for families that want to do work and play both at the same time. So we are looking, obviously, now at the Isuzu D-Max and the Nissan Navara that we have reviewed a little earlier in this show.
So actually, it comes now with a 300,000 kilometer warranty and something impressive, Mr. Mirigi, if you want to tell the audience the new special offer on this particular pickup.
Well, usually this pickup is sold for 5.5 million shillings, but CMC is going to offer this now at 4.9 million shillings. And to sweeten the deal, they are throwing in free service up to 30,000 kilometers. This actually means that because this has a service interval of 10,000 kilometers, that is 3 free services that they're thrown in.
I mean, absolute value for money, and I can tell you, if you're looking for that kind of vehicle that will give you comfort, reliability, efficiency, and everything else, then look no further. The Mazda BT50 is here for you and sold and serviced by CMC Motors right along Lusaka Road. Feel free to go and check them out. And of course, towards the end of the show, we are also going to talk about the brand new BT50 that's coming soon to a TV screen near you. Well, signing out, this is Big Boy Trev.
This is Mirigi. Drive safe
and be safe.